Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. This video is going to be my best and worst eyeshadow palettes of 2018. I've never really done anything like this before. I've done a couple of like best products of the year over on my blog, but I've never done it in video form, so I thought it would be fun to talk to you about 10 eyeshadow palettes that I really enjoyed this year and 10 that I felt a little about for several reasons. So something that you need to know about the palettes that I will be showing you in this video is that not all of them are 2018 releases. I'm always a little bit behind on the release wagon that's going on, so there are definitely still a couple of palettes that came out this year that I'm hoping to try, but there's also palettes in here that were new to me in 2018. So if it's an eyeshadow palette that I tried for the first time in this year, then it's going to perhaps be featured in this video. I'm also wearing one of the eyeshadow palettes on my eyes today, which I'm really enjoying. So you can already guess perhaps in what category that will fall into. And I leave it up to you to guess for now what eyeshadow palette it is that I'm wearing. So without further ado, let's get to my 10 best and my 10 worst eyeshadow palettes of 2018. And I think I'm going to alternate this, so let's start on a high note. Let's start with something I really liked. So something that I wanted to try in 2018 was more colorful eyeshadow palettes, and then I spotted this, and this is the Venus XL by Lime Crime, and I'd never tried anything from Lime Crime. I was sort of interested in them when they, like a couple of years ago when I first got into makeup, they were quite big with like the unicorn lipsticks, but I never really tried anything by them because I found them a bit expensive and it was only online only, and I was like, and then we had the whole like nobody wanted to use Lime Crime anymore for a minute, so, but then I saw this and I was like, oh, I need to have it. I've called this the Modern Renaissance on steroids several times, and that's exactly what this is. My favorite part about Anastasia's Modern Renaissance palette are the berries, and this gives you all berries, all day, every day, and I'm living for it. The berry trend was definitely one I really liked, so that's why this is one of my top 10. I'm not doing these in any order by any means, actually, so, but this is definitely one of my top 10 palettes that I bought and tried this past year. A palette that I tried around the same time as that one, and that I was also very curious after, was the Violetvos hashtag palette. I was very curious after Violetvos the minute I started seeing them popping up on people's channels. I was like, oh, that sounds like an interesting brand, but there wasn't really a palette that felt like it was really speaking to me, so the color story just wasn't really my cup of tea until this was released. The hashtag palette has a couple of golds, coppers, and then you have a full row of purples on the bottom, and you have your neutrals at the top. Very pretty color scheme, I have to say. I really like the color story of this because it's warm tones and purples, and who doesn't love warm tones and purples at the moment? However, if you cover this bottom row up, it's very much a gold, copper, and neutral palette, so warm tone neutrals. So that's a bit of a shame, and for the price point, I think this retails for about 50 or 55 euros, about as much as the Lime Crime, I'd say, and I just think that quality-wise, even though I really enjoy the color scheme this has, I just felt the quality was a bit Morphe-like. And I'm not a big fan of Morphe shadows. I find them a little bit dry, a little bit difficult to work with sometimes. So this is why the Violetvos hashtag palette is in my bottom 10. I still enjoy the palette, but just because I couldn't really get on with the formula of this, it gets a spot in my bottom 10. Let's talk about more berries. There's going to be a lot of berry actually in this video. The Naked Cherry by Urban Decay is another one that I think is one of my favorite palettes this year. It was of course released at the tail end of the year, but I'm really enjoying the color scheme. Is this a very versatile palette? No, I think the Lime Crime will give you a little bit more because that has a little bit more depth and a little bit more variety in the shades, but I love the combination of the peaches and the berries in this, and it has some really nice duochromes, a really nice matte formula as well. They have definitely taken the Naked Heat formula and sort of put this into a new color scheme, so I'm really enjoying this. Something I really didn't like is this. I've mentioned this before in my haul update, I think, or also in like a bottom 5 something. It's the Essence My Only One eyeshadow palette. When I spotted this, I was like, yay, a colorful palette by Essence. How much fun. But these colors just blend into nothing. It just doesn't stay put. They don't stick. They all muddy together. This is definitely one that I wish I hadn't bought. Let's just stick to Essence for a minute, because a palette they released that I absolutely loved was this. This is the Beeutiful eyeshadow palette. And what this is just the most basic of palettes. It is a very neutral palette with only 9 shades, but it gives you exactly every shade you need to create a neutral look. You can pull it a little bit more neutral, a little bit more cool toned. You've got a nice warm tone here as well. So with this, I really was surprised also by the quality. They are a little bit powdery, so they do kind of like blend away, but you are able to build these up. They do stay put, and I was very, very much pleased with what I found in this palette. This is definitely a keeper. I also tried quite a few palettes from Makeup Revolution this past year, and one thing that I was on my to try list was this. This is the Chocolate Rose Gold, and this is a dupe for the Huda Beauty Rose Gold Textured palette, the first one. And the reason why I never got the original Huda Beauty is because it had a lot of those chunky glitters, which I don't like. So I was very much intrigued by the color scheme, and I decided to go with this because it does something very similar, but without the chunky glitter. So I was very happy with it. The quality of this palette, I have to say, is really nice. But to be quite honest, when I was thinking of what palettes to feature in this video, I realized that after using this, I completely forgot I owned this. This just didn't leave a mark on me. I remember quite liking this pink at the bottom, but yeah, it's got a couple of very stunning shimmers, but this is one that I think is on the chopping block, because this is just not a color scheme that really draws me in enough. So now I'm very happy that I didn't commit to buying the more expensive version of this palette and then be like, it's not really my thing. So the Chocolate Rose Gold by Makeup Revolution is definitely my bottom 10. So I mentioned that I wanted to try more colorful eyeshadow palettes in 2018, and I definitely did. My favorite has to be the Juvia's Place Zulu palette. This is such a stunning colorful eyeshadow palette. There's a reason why in my Black Friday haul, which I posted last week, I was going on about the different eyeshadow palettes that I bought by Juvia's Place during the Black Friday sales, because their formula is great, and in terms of color, they are doing some of the more interesting color combinations on the market right now. And this colorful palette, it's a rainbow, but not quite. You get a pop of neutral instead of a pop of color in this one, which I quite enjoy. But because of the matte yellow and the matte like corally pinky red and the matte orange and the matte brown, if you kind of combine those, you can still do quite a neutral look if you incorporate that peach. So this is definitely one that kind of throws you off. But I very much enjoyed every single color, every single look I did with this throughout the year. Is this going to be my most used eyeshadow palette of all time? Probably not, but it is awesome quality. So Juvia's Place definitely deserves a spot in the top 10. Bottom 10 then. One thing that I think is quite possibly the worst thing I tried all year is this Essence glitter palette. This is the Get Your Glitter On glitter palette by Essence. And these just don't do anything at all. It looks very pretty in the pan, but it's this like very sticky Vaseline kind texture. And when you try to swatch it, you just get sparse glitter everywhere and like something that's very sticky and that makes your eyeshadow crease. This was absolutely terrible. If I had to pick a worse palette of 2018, then this might be it. I told you there were going to be a lot of berry palettes. I really enjoyed this. This is the Dose of Colors Marvellous Mauves eyeshadow palette. And it's only 5 shades that you get in here, so it's quite tiny, but I love this gradient. It's so pretty. These are very powdery though, so you do have to be very careful with tapping off your brush, else you get a bit of fallout with these. But these are so nice. They are so soft. They go on so nicely, so well. And again, it's that berry tone, which I have been loving this year, so that's why this is also in my top 10. Shall we address the elephant in the room then? A brand I was very much hoping to try was Natasha De Nonna, and I bought the Lila palette because this is finally a color scheme that they were doing that I was like, okay, I can get down with that. And there's something you need to know about this, because I am putting this in my bottom 10, not because of the quality, but just because of the price point. Do I think this is worth $129? I don't think so. I like the colors. These eyeshadows worked really well. You get a couple of unique shades here too, which is really, really nice, which made me buy the palette. But is this formula so mind-blowing that it's worth an arm and a leg? No, it's not. I think this could be, well, I'm not sure if it could be, but I think this should be worth half the price. So around the same price point as a Huda Beauty like full palette, like they're like around $65. That's what I would aim this at. It's definitely a higher quality than, let's say, a Too Faced or an Urban Decay, but $129 worth of quality, I don't think so. So while I really enjoy this palette, I really like the colors, I really enjoy the formula, I just think that it's overpriced. So I already banged on about Essence not having great eyeshadow this year, but also having some good things. And there was another thing they did this year that I really enjoyed. I don't think I really showed this on my channel all that much, but this was a limited edition summer palette that they did, and it's called the Wanted Collection Sunset Dreamers eyeshadow palette in the shade Desert Heat. Look at this. What does this remind you of? Oh yes, this is an exact dupe of the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. I swatched them side by side. This is a dupe and it was only €8. And the quality of this, insane, insane. Essence can do good eyeshadow, and that's why this is in my top 10. There were quite a few drugstore misses for me this year, and one of the biggest misses was Rimmel's Magnif'Eyes eyeshadow palette in the shade London Nudes Calling. These were only around for a hot minute, and then they were replaced by the bigger ones, which apparently are a lot better quality because a lot of people seem to like those. But these small ones, these were terrible. I'm not sure if you can see that, but a lot of these shades already have hard pan. There was barely any payoff on the eye. I really had to dig my brush in order to get any transfer, and it felt very thick. It just wasn't nice. So this is definitely one that's also in my chopping block, and why this is in the bottom 10. Can we talk about one of the palettes I probably raved about the most on my channel? The Makeup Revolution Violet Chocolate. If you didn't see this one coming just yet, maybe you haven't watched all of my videos lately, but this is one that I've been going on and on about. In terms of purple palettes, this is my favorite one that's currently on the market because it just gives you some really, really nice different purples, different textures, but also some neutrals to really make your look pop a little bit more and still be wearable for every day. So yeah, this was one palette that I absolutely adore this year. It has to have a spot in my top 10. A palette that I really also didn't enjoy that is by Catrice is this one. This is the Professional Artist eyeshadow palette. I discussed this in my least favorite shade in the palette video that I did not too long ago, and all of these shades just muddy together a lot. It's just not great quality. They're very powdery. They sort of all have the same undertone, which is why everything looks the same on the eye. It's just not a great one, and this was quite expensive. I think it was like €12 or something like that. It was pretty steep for Catrice prices, so this was something I really wasn't happy with, so bottom 10. Makeup Revolution also does some really good palettes, I think, and one of them that I bought that I think was released last year, but that I tried this year, is the Soph Original Palette. I just tried the Extra Spice and I like that one too, but since I've tried this a little bit more, I decided to put this in here. This is such a good color story. You get quite a few warm tones, but also some neutrals. You get a purple, you get this really nice like blue browns or like grayish shade here, which I really like. You get a black. This is just a great all-rounder palette. And if I had a category like that, if I were to do some sort of like eyeshadow awards, then this would definitely win for versatility. And I really enjoy the formula of this as well. It has some stunning shades. Something I tried more recently is the Wet n Wild Rosé in the Air palette, and I wasn't blown away by this. Everybody keeps raving about Wet n Wild eyeshadow and how good they are, but for me, this just doesn't really pack a punch too much. Some of these shades were very scratchy, very chalky, didn't stick to my lid. The ones that work best for me are like these transition shades and like some of these lighter shades at the bottom. But the darker ones didn't really work for me. So that's why, sadly, Rosé in the Air by Wet n Wild is in my bottom 10. A release, the minute I saw this, I knew I wanted to get that palette, and it was the Norvina palette by Anastasia. I'm not a huge Anastasia fan, I have to say, but the minute I saw this color scheme, I was like, yep, need to have it. The only two shades I would take out are these two warm tones. I would have preferred this to be like a matte purple and this like a darker brown or something. That would have worked better, I think, than what they have going on right now. So for me, I just take those out of the equation. The shimmers in this, I absolutely love. I love this for a pop of color on the lower lash line. This is such a nice palette, and it's my kind of color scheme. This is my kind of color story, which is why I was so excited for it. Revolution Pro palettes, they discontinued the Freedom line and put Revolution Pro for it in its place, I think earlier this year. And they came out with a bunch of palettes, and I wanted to try some. And I tried this. This is the Regeneration Trends Celestial palette, and this was horrible. You do get some nice neutrals, but all of these shimmers, they are so dry. They have this like baked formula, so they feel very thin. And what bugs me the most about this palette is that these two shades are identical, 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 these pull identical on the lids. So this really isn't an 18 pan palette, it's more like 10. You just get a lot of double shades, and I really don't see the point of this, and I didn't really enjoy it at all. And because I don't want to end on a negative note, I'm going to do my last bottom 10 pick first, and that would be the Urban Decay Backtalk palette. You all know I love Urban Decay eyeshadow palettes, but I can see why people didn't enjoy this as much, and now that I have the Naked Cherry, I kind of feel that that kind of outperforms this. If that hadn't come out, this probably would have made it into my top 10, but because the Naked Cherry trumps the Backtalk for me, I put that in my top 10, and I'm putting this in my bottom 10. I really like the mauves in here. I really enjoy the berries. I can work with this palette just fine. There's nothing wrong with the quality, but I just like the quality of the Naked Cherry just a smidge better, which is why I decided to put this in my bottom 10, because I just think that I will get more use out of the Naked Cherry now that I own that than I do out of the Backtalk. And then finally, one of my favorite palettes is the one I'm wearing on my eyes today, and that is a Melt stack. I wanted to try some Melt cosmetics. I placed an order on their website, and this is the She's in Party stack, which comes with a really stunning like light shimmery shade, and then you have a matte sort of like blackberry kind of shade. This shimmer is what I have all over my lid, and I absolutely adore this. And then this is what I use to deepen up the crease. It is absolutely stunning. This is such a nice quality. The mattes that Melt does is phenomenal, but I really like the two shimmers that are in here even more, and I wish that Melt would do more stacks that include a shimmer formula. A lot of them seem to be fully matte, which is okay. I like that. I can get down with that. But the reason why I like this more than the other stack that I bought, which was, I think, the Rust stack, I like this better because it has those two shimmers, and that makes this a lot more versatile for me personally, because I like putting shimmers all over the lid and in the inner corner. I'm not an all matte kind of girl, so while I really enjoy the formula of all of the matte shadows that I've tried so far, these ones definitely take the cake because, oh my word, the colors, the formula, the blendability, this is so stunning. So that's why I definitely wanted to end on that high note. And in case you're wondering what's on my lips today, this is the Urban Decay After Dark lipstick, which I think pairs really nicely with this like old berry look. And that brings us to the end of this video, so I really hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up because it helps getting my videos out there. And if you'd like to see more by me, then please click that red button down below and subscribe to my channel. I make new videos twice a week on Thursday and Sunday, 5 a.m. Central European time. So I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!